Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on VTube Central. My name is Nova and I'll be your host today. In today's video, we're going to be teaching you guys how to set up Streamlabs Desktop, specifically the video side and streaming side of things, just so that you guys can get started and go out of the gate with some freaking oof behind you. So, without further ado, let's get into the tutorial and let's have some fun. Let's go! Okay, so we're inside the settings of Streamlabs OBS or Streamlabs Desktop right now. So we're going to have some fun with this. We're going to do some stuff, okay? Okay, so the first thing that we're going to want to be able to do is set up the recording, the streaming, whatever we want to do with Streamlabs, right? The first thing that we're going to want to do is link our stream stuff. So we can link our stream stuff. It's simple, quick, fast, and easy. Create a Streamlabs account, link everything to it. They have tutorials for that. But the problem is there's not a lot of tutorials, or at least good ones, that'll show you guys how to set up your video bitrate, your encoders, your audio bitrate, your recording stuff, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to run through that in today's video. We're going to have some fun with this, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to say, okay, is it depends on what your computer's level is. If it's a low to medium rig, right? If it's like a 1050 with like an i5 8th gen, right? We're going to want to leave the streaming and the recording stuff pretty much stock, except for setting like this to NVEC, right? Because this is hardware encoding. It's gonna put more load on the GPU instead of putting load on your CPU, which makes systems crash, okay? So that's one thing, right? So we're gonna want to be able to do that first. So we're going to want to set everything to the encoding preset that your GPU supports. So we're going to set it to NVEC or NVEC new, right? So we're going to do that. We're going to do this, and we're going to set it to NVEC new because I have a new GPU, so it's going to set it to new, right? So the next thing that we're going to want to be able to do is, honestly, we're just going to want to click on to advanced because we're really going to get into this actually. So again, we're going to set it to NVEC, okay? We're going to click enforce streaming service encoder settings, right? So this means if the bitrate here is too high, the streaming service can go, hey, this is too much for me to handle. Can you tone it down just a little bit? And the software will tone it down for you and automatically. So you won't have any compatibility issues when we get into the next steps. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set the rate control, essentially. So there's a few things that we can do. We can set it to lossless if we do not want to lose any quality, right? So each one of these is like a quality step. So kind of, this is CBR, this is CQP, VBR, and then lossless, right? We're just going to want to keep it at CBR. This is what everyone uses. This is what every single streaming platform uses, okay, is CBR. So we're going to leave it at CBR. We're going to set the quality preset. So if you have like an insane gaming rig that's like a 3090 or two of them or a 40 series card, right? We're going to want to set this to max quality because we can do that, right? So, but since I don't have a 40 series card, I'm going to set it to quality, okay? And this is the same thing. If you have like a 10 series card, like a 1050, we're going to want to set it to max performance. Or if we have like a 1080, we're going to want to set it to performance, right? So just keep that in mind. The next thing we're going to want to do is we always want to set this to high as the profile, okay? So that's just a thing, right? Perfect. We're going to want to keep cycle visual tuning on, okay? This is a very important step, and I will explain to you why in a minute. So let's have some fun with the recording settings. Same kind of deal, okay? We're going to want to set a recording path. We're going to want to set 3 audio tracks. If we're recording, we're going to be editing, right? Or you're going to be sending it to an editor. They will love you for this, okay? And I will love you for them, okay? And you will love yourself for this too. If you ever had the problem of you recorded something with stock OBS settings and you just could not separate your microphone, game, and desktop audio, well, this is the way to do it. We set different audio tracks, and every single editing software and editing suite can actually take full advantage of up to 6 tracks. So that's what Streamlabs OBS and normal OBS have now, is full 6-track audio. Streamlabs OBS and OBS Studio now have full 6-track audio setups. So we could set up to 6 inputs, and it'll be on different tracks. And we can combine all of them together and do all of our little tunings that we would ever want. Either to our microphone, to our desktop audio, if our desktop in game's too loud, but we also don't want to deal with like turning it down on our Windows settings because we like it really loud. We can turn that down in editing in the editing suite. We can turn that down so that we don't have to deal with the problems, right? So this is kind of the editing side of me coming out and saying, hey, yeah, this is just better for your editors. Either way. And this is one thing I'm going to say. This is like a hard thing. Keep your editors happy, because if you keep your editors happy, you're going to be happy, they're going to be happy, your community's going to be happy. The faster you can turn out videos, that's really the kind of deal, right? And if you're your own editor, you're going to find that this is very helpful. So I would say, at minimum, have 3 audio tracks set up. That's just my baseline. That's what I recommend to everyone, because at minimum 3 audio tracks is like the best thing in the world, man. Trust me when I say this. It is so good. It's so good. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to either use Stream Encoder, which will use the encoder that you selected for stream if you don't want to, do that. And it's usually stock and standard. It'll use a Stream Encoder. But we're going to just set hardware NVEC new, because why not? Keep the rate control as CBR. We're going to set that bitrate to 5500. That's a pretty good bitrate for like 1080p content around that area, right? If you wanted to go like insane, you could. Like you could crank that thing all the way up to 10K, which theoretically I could, but I do like my computer staying cool while I'm gaming and streaming at the same time. So it's a kind of a half and half. You got to give up something to do something, right? Unless you have like an insane water-cooled PC like Linus Tech Tips or something, and then you don't really have to worry ever. But we're normal streamers, and more than likely we're just getting started, so we do not want to push our system past what it can do, right? So a good median is like 5500 to 2500, around that area. 2500 to 5500, you are in the sweet spot. That's 720p up to 1080p content, maybe getting close up to 1440p, just right on the cusp of it, right? So that's what we want to set. That's what we want. We want people to be happy, but we do not want to make our computer scream in pain while we are setting these settings and while we are testing, right? So that's the first thing. The next thing is we're going to want to set quality. We're going to set the profile to high. We're going to keep psycho visual tuning on. Essentially, psycho-visual tuning, by the way, is pretty much just if something goes weird or frames don't match up or something like that, this can try to repair it. That's pretty much all it does, but it works really, really well. So that's the first thing. The next thing is we're going to go to video here. We're going to set our base camera resolution to our monitor resolution. Then we're going to scale it, okay? So we're scaling it to 1920 by 1080. Or if you really want to get in depth with it, you could scale it the same, right? But we're just going to keep it at 1920 by 1080. We're going to set bicubic, which is 16 samples, right? So it's 16, not 32. Not enough to make your computer want to scream, okay? But okay. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set common FPS values, right? So we could set 24, which is NTSC, right? Which is run by NVIDIA, that stuff like that. So we can run it at 24 frames a second, or we can run it at 60, whatever you want. It's your preference, really is. I recommend doing 60 frames a second or 30, right? Essentially intervals of 3. So 60, 30, 10, right? So we could do that. My recommendation is, again, put it right in the middle. If your system's, again, not very good, or you're just starting out, you're trying to figure out your best settings for your stream, right? So we're going to put it at the middle kind of deal. Or if you have a stupid, insane gaming PC and you want people to like love the smoothness of your content, we can set it to 60, right? That's up to you. Now, the next thing that we're going to set up you probably see that I don't have the process priority at set to high. I found that I don't need it to be set to high, but I do not want it to be set at normal or below normal. Okay? Okay. We're going to want to set it at above normal. Now we're going to want to set our color format. A lot of people make this mistake of choosing RGB. Don't choose RGB. Yes, every monitor ever supports RGB, but that's a conversion that has to happen server side, and you want to feed them the most. You want the encoding server to be fed the most amount of data possible, which means NV12 is your best bet. It's a good sweet spot. It works with NVIDIA. It is so much better than RGB. Your colors don't wash out. You can get cool LED effects on your stream. It's just better for everyone, okay? The next thing we're going to want to do is set our color space. Again, if you want to go full crackhead mode, we can set it to 709. I keep it at 601. It's good for me. We're going to want to set this to full, okay? We're going to set it at full. Okay. Now we're going to want to set force GPU as render device. That's one of the biggest things. We're rendering stuff, so we want to make sure the GPU is doing the heavy lifting, not the CPU. I cannot stress this enough, right? We do not want to deal with the CPU bogging down, because the CPU controls everything else in the system. The GPU only controls graphics and tiny or very, very heavy encoding. Okay? So that's the thing. The GPU. So we use the GPU for everything except for basic processing. Every basic process is done through the CPU. It's not done through the GPU, right? GPU is graphics encoding, AI stuff, all that kind of stuff like that. We're not stressing the GPU out way past what it is designed to do, because this is what it's designed to do. It's designed to do video encoding. If you ever watch an hour of YouTube, right, in 4K or 1440p or 1080, this is exactly what the GPU does every single day, 7 days a week, 24/7, right? That's what GPUs are designed to do. They're designed to be render devices. That's what they are. That's what they were designed to do. That's what they were built to do. Unless you have a very specific GPU designed for a very specific task. But most of you guys are not going to have a very specific GPU designed for a specific task, right? Like AI encoding, for example. So we're just going to set it as the render device. We're going to keep it at the render. We're going to make it so it renders, right? So we're going through this. Yada, yada, yada. Replay buffers, recording. We can leave the normal recording format, right? Overwrite file if file exists. That's one thing. Overwrite if file exists. We're going to do that, though. And then we can do network bind to IP. We can bind it to the IP. And then enable new networking code, low latency, and we're going to change bitrate when dropping, dynamically change bitrate when dropping frames while streaming. So we can do that. And we're going to want to essentially click all three of these on, because those are so helpful. Okay. Okay, so the next thing we're going to want to be able to do is we're going to want to set up some themes, right? So I have a few themes set up, but one of my best recommendations is get Streamlabs Prime, get a few themes that you like, customize them, and then if you don't want to pay for it after, you don't need to pay for it, right? You can still keep your theme, you can still operate on your theme. That is your brand. You've customized it, right? They can't take that away from you. You paid for it, theoretically. That's what I'm doing right now, so just keep that in mind, okay? If you want to have an in-game overlay, okay, so you can see chats and other functions, you can do that. So that's a beautiful thing. We also have virtual webcam, we have a remote control system, we have appearances, right? So there's a light and dark mode. We don't want to mess with the light and dark mode, but we can, right? So that's a few other things, right? We have developer stuff. So if you're a developer, you want to make your own, if you want to make your own app for this, you guys can. There's an experimental tab. There's a get support tab, right? So that's it. And then there's a Prime tab, which that'll open up streamlabs.com/goprime. get your Prime. It's awesome. It's $19 a month or $149 a year. So just keep that in mind. With that being said, though, I think that's pretty much it for today's video on Streamlabs OBS. We're going to do a full tutorial on OBS Studio also. And we're also going to be doing a video on the best audio practices for new streamers and, hey, anyone who wants to brush up on stuff too. This also will pull into the thing of Voice.AI, which we covered on the channel already, and we're going to get into a more in-depth tutorial on how to do everything you would want to do on Voice.AI also to make that perfect voice for you while you're streaming. So if you guys want to get Voice.AI or any of the apps that are linked, they're all linked. If you want to get any of the apps mentioned in this video today, they're all linked down in the description below. You guys can have fun with that. It's gonna be an amazing time, and trust me when I say this. It seems like a lot of work, but when you get everything dialed in and set up properly, you will be off to the races. Everyone will love you guys, and I promise you that. Once you can get everything dialed in and looking real nice, everyone will want to watch you. Everyone will love your content. So keep it up. You guys are doing amazing. And with that being said, be sure to like, subscribe, and be sure to hit that bell notifications. If you guys dislike this video, you know what button to click. And if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below. I always respond to comments, and I will try to respond to every single one of you. So with that being said, have a great day. This has been a VTube Central video, and have a good one. Be sure to check out our audio tutorial when that's posted. Have a great day. Bye-bye!